So they stay alive, and I'm not trying to get off on the wrong foot, not with you, because I think you would totally agree. I am hearing, and it's not even a straw man, because I don't think they're willing to say it in the public. I am hearing a little bit from the brethren of like, well, if they make the postseason, what's the point? They're still 3.5 back, right, Owen? Still 3.5 back.
But now it's the Astros, and not the Astros and the Mariners are tied, and the Mariners have that tiebreaker. So now it's the Astros.
Well, the Astros, not very great over the last 10 games. Oh, really, over the last month. I'm hearing a little bit from the brethren of like, what's the point of making the postseason? And I think even if you're cynical or you're not, it doesn't have to be rah-rah. I'm not trying to be rah-rah about this. Usually, I know you can accuse me of being that way. It's not about that. I think it's the thought of, well, if they make the postseason, they're still not going to go many places. I think it's a question of like, do they want to do extra work? It's like, well, if you go to the postseason, then you got to do all these things, and they don't feel like doing it because it's part of their job. And again,
like it's a homework assignment?
Yeah, I think okay. I'm picking that up from the brethren.
Confused.
I'm picking that up, not the fans. I'm talking about media. I'm picking that up from the brethren. Not from you, again. You've been very positive about the Guardians for a long time here this season.
I didn't know anybody wasn't positive about making the playoffs. Who is out there saying, the playoffs, too much to do?
I don't want to name names.
I'm going to go ahead and move on. What, they're not going to pay attention?
I don't want to name names. You want me to name names?
Yes.
I don't want to name names.
Just flash a hand signal.
I've heard people in this building say, what's the point? I've heard people in other buildings that I frequent where media would gather ask, what's the point? And I did. I couldn't help it. I stopped short and I go, you always want to make the postseason. Who knows what they could do? If they made the postseason, I don't think we're going back to the ALCS. That's me being honest. But I also was like, well, you always want to see whether or not you can run the table. This is the sport. Don't get me wrong. Well, I mean, we spent a long time saying this is the sport of all sports where, yeah, you can go on a run where you play your best baseball over that course of 3 weeks and all of a sudden you're in a World Series. Am I wrong? I'm not wrong.
This isn't the NBA.
Yeah.
Where you've got no shot
exactly.
in 99% of seasons. Even the NFL. How many seasons is there like a really bad team that just gets in under 500? Used to have under 500 teams that have gotten in at wild card, and you're like, zero shot. They've got some second string quarterback. Zero shot. Baseball's never been like that. Baseball has always been, holy cow.
Yeah, anything can happen at any time. And unfortunately, we've been on the end of that, of the anything can happen at any time, going into a World Series as a heavy favorite. So I don't believe in the whole thing of that. But that even sounds fan-like. Like, I'm a fan, and I'm not even trying to be a fan in this conversation here about this. Is that even if they made the postseason, if they make the postseason, I think it cements, if you are a person who's critical of ownership or you're a person who's critical even of the front office, if you feel that way, then I think it makes it much easier to make an argument. Because then I think people care that you've made the postseason again. The audience that you talk to, whether it be in radio or podcast or TV or whatever, the audience you talk to, I think it's crystallized where you're a postseason team 2 years in a row. What have you done to help the team? Like, I think it starts to really put your argument out there going, what are you doing to help the club? Because this year hasn't been such a great year, and they're still in a position to possibly make the team. So I can hold your feet to the fire more as an owner and say, what are you doing to help your club? What are you doing to help your club of the teams, of these players that people want to come see, other than we're opening up the gates and it's a giant bar in left and right field? Like, what are you doing to do that? And I think that's an important thing. I also think it's an important thing if you want to do it positively and say, man, Stephen Vogt had his hands full this year, and they were still able to go out and get a wild card spot this year. The starting rotation was certainly a roller coaster. They were still able to go get a wild card spot this year. You have guys here who are not, I think, long-term Major League Baseball players, you were still able to go out and get a wild card this year. Like, I think there's things to that too.
It's the playoffs.
I would assume
we don't have to overthink it.
I would
it's
assume
the
so.
playoffs. You get to keep playing.
I'm dying to give names, but I don't want them to wake up to an argument in their social media or on their texts or anything like that. I don't want them to do that. It's 6 a.m. I know for a fact they're asleep, and I really don't want to. I think they've probably said that around me, not thinking that I was going to blurt it out on the radio.
So
I'm dying to say their names.
So the fun thing about sports is that you have the season, and then after that you have something called the postseason. And if you qualify for the postseason, you get to keep playing, while a bunch of other teams that failed to qualify, they're eliminated. Their season is over, and their fans wallow in misery. The teams that get to keep playing get more national attention.
Yes.
By the way, they're young players like CJ Kayfus and Kyle Manzardo. They get to keep playing, and we get to find out more about them. How do they perform in big moments? It's fun. When all of a sudden, is that how much the Guardians have spoiled the city of Cleveland that somebody would think, what's the point? We always go to the playoffs. If there has ever been an indication that this has been
I don't understand.
so far and above the best organization in town over the years, I think anybody who would be poo-pooing them going to the playoffs because they don't think they'll be very good.
I just checked the YouTube. They want me to name names.
Well, yeah. I mean,
somebody said it sounds like a Nick comment, which I don't want to miss context here. Was it Nick who made the argument? Owen, help me out here. Was it or was it not Nick who made the argument he'd rather see a no-hitter than a wild card run this year?
I believe
was that true? So technically, it would be a Nick comment.
For this team, yeah.
But it's not the what's the point. I never heard Nick say what's the point. I've heard several other in media, they're not here to defend themselves. And I don't think they said it where they wanted to publicly defend themselves. So I have to be...
Well, people are just going to say you're using a straw man then. If you can't come up with the names, they're just going to assume you're
Give me a Bible.
You're making
Give me a
it up.
Bible to swear on. Give me a Bible to swear on.
Because it doesn't sound reasonable.
I'm telling you right now, I have 3 names.
Like lots of people say a lot of things.
3 names.
Especially on social media today where the bots are running rampant.
Well, I'm not a bot. I'm all too real. I have 3 names that have said it that you watch and or listen to or read if you'd rather do it that way. That there are 3 names in this town that have said it around me over the last week of what's the point? What's the point? And I'm giving the point. And it's not even, well, you're a Guardians fan, you should be a Guardians fan, you've lost your way. It's not that. It's not that. It's even if you're cynical, if they make the postseason, and if they even get run in the postseason, then it still helps the argument of, why aren't you helping your baseball team, Paul? That helps you. Because if they don't make the postseason, you and I have talked about this, well, I mean, maybe last year was just a fluke, and now this is kind of who they are, and they have to wait. Like, it almost helps Paul, I'm talking about him like I know him. I'm going to say it anyway. It almost helps Paul Dolan if they don't make the postseason this year and they go, well, necessarily last year, it was a great year. Maybe it was more of a fluke than it really was an expectation. And now we got this possible work stoppage coming up here in a couple of years or after next year. So, and we don't know about the TV deal. Like, there's a lot of influx there. So it almost helps you make an excuse. Like, okay, once we get things figured out in 2026, then we may start to go for the gusto in 2027. So it helps your argument to go, Paul, where are you going to invest in your team? Paul. Okay, well, if you make the postseason, it helps that argument. So again, even if you want to be negative, it helps your argument to make the postseason. Again, I don't want to take Nick out of context. It's a Friday. I don't want to be yelling about it over the weekend. He said he'd rather... I don't think I ever heard the term, what's the point, come out of Nick's mouth. So it wasn't Nick. But there are 3 people in this city that people listen to or people watch or people read that have been around me the last week that have said, what's the point? Hand to God. Hand to God. That's all I'm going to say. You want me to name names by the end of the show, don't you?
The fact that you brought it up, I thought you were definitely going to name names.
I don't want to name names. Would you? Have you always named names?
If I were going to lead a whole segment with it to start a show, yeah, I'd probably have to name names.
There's plenty of times you've not named names and you've just got it off your chest, and I've been understanding. I might have pressed you to name names, but if you don't want to name names, don't name names. It's up to it's up to the listeners of this to try to deduce who it was. If you dig and you test, you'll find them.
Chaz says, sounds like a made-up radio bit to me.
Who's Chaz? Is that like Dennis 6969?
Made-up radio name to me.
He actually he has a full first and last name here. I think he has a real.
I don't want to use.
I think he's one of the few that actually uses a full.
Okay.
Oh God, that guy don't count. Lord,
Chaz, you count. You matter. All right.
No, because he trolls me. He doesn't count.
Now you really count.
No, he doesn't matter. No. Okay, so I just had to get that off my chest. That's all. Why would I ever bring in a straw man? I've never brought a straw man in.
No, I just know that in today's day and age, when you don't name names, people assume like you're just making stuff up.
I don't want to name names. I think they'd be upset because they said it off the record. If they would have said it on the record, I would have got audio and I would have played it. But they said it off the record. It's in its media brethren.
Mm-hmm. And you think if they went public with such a sentiment that the Guardians making the playoffs is no big deal, who cares?
I mean, I already got like two guys. I already got one guy in the media who, he will talk again.
Whoop-de-doo.
No big whoop-de-doo.
But there's already one guy in the media here who won't talk to me. I don't want to alienate anybody else. Do I want to hurt anybody else's feelings?
Well, your Sith Lord hood that you've got
Senator
going on right
Palpatine.
now.
I'm not feeling good, I told you. You put your hood up when you ain't feeling that good.
Oh, okay. That's the international symbol, huh?
What, this isn't serious to you?
Can't even look at him.
Stop. Nathan joins us at 9:01. Where they had said, they'd asked, is it even worth it? I'm like, well, yeah, of course. Even if you want to be nasty about Paul Dolan, I think it's worth it. Because you haven't put together the greatest product on the field. I think they overachieved last year. I think that's easy to say for a lot of people. Now, they've had a couple of guys who have been banged up. Like if they had Lane Thomas, maybe things would be a little different. If they still had Emmanuel Clase, things would be a little different. Now, that's self-inflicted there. Maybe things might be a little bit better. But they overachieved last season. And you could say, man, the team, if you're not actually trying, if you've drawn a conclusion that they overachieved last year, then you could say, if you're not even really trying because of television revenue, and that's up in the air, if you're not even really trying because of a possible work stoppage, that's up in the air. If you're not even trying, quote unquote, for those reasons, and you still have a team that's over 500 in the wild card mix and then actually makes the postseason, we're 3.5 games out. How many games do we have left? 17?
16, I believe.
16.
Yeah.
Oh, that was my original number a couple of weeks ago.
And 17. Now we're here.
Got that
We
one.
We were just ahead.
Way off. So if you have 16 games left, it's going to be tough. But if you were to make the postseason, then you go, man, 2 out of the last 3 years, you make the postseason. The last 2 years, you make the postseason. Even if you get bounced in the wild card round. Why won't you do more to help this team? Clearly, this team needs help. Clearly, this team is worth helping. Why won't you do more? It gives you more of an argument to hold the owner's feet to the fire. It gives you more of an argument to say, why aren't you doing what's necessary to get this team over a hump while you have Jose Ramirez playing for it? So even if you wanted to be negative, and I'm not trying to be a homer here and rah-rah. Everybody wants to see their team go to the postseason. That's not hard to do. It's easy to sit here and rip the media brethren and say, this is the problem with the media in this town. This is the problem with the media in general. I'm not even asking that. I'm saying if you are a person who immediately doesn't think very highly of the Guardians and their ownership, them making the postseason gives you all the ammo in the world. Now, if they go and they win a World Series, I don't know if anybody gives a damn. But if you want to be critical and don't think they'd win a World Series, because I don't think that they would be very highly picked to win the World Series if they made the postseason. But if you don't think so, then fine. They made the postseason 2 of the last 3 years, last 2 years altogether. They went to an ALCS. They might have got to a wild card. We'll see how this goes. If they do all that, then you can be as nasty as you want to about Paul. You mean nasty anyway, but this gives you legitimate reasoning behind that. Is the point I'm making.
Yeah, I get
yes, it's in every way possible. It's worth it.
Would it at all be interesting if I told you, hey, they got Manzardo doing what he has been doing, and he certainly looks like somebody who you're going to be able to count on, right, going forward.
Yeah.
Kafis, who murdered that baseball. And I know it's been hit or miss, and, he's had his
Well, he's a pup.
He's had his droughts, but, man, when you see the potential of that swing in the 8th inning yesterday to complete that, or for the go-ahead, come from behind win. And what have I told you? Since the 10-game losing streak, Guardians' record, 35-23.
It's a good record.
That's the third best in baseball.
They also had a big losing chunk in there,
and
too.
they did. They have the third best record in baseball since that streak. Is that not incredible to you?
It is pretty wild.
What does that tell you about baseball in general?
So then it would probably tell you that you need to jump in already.
Well, and imagine
Or
if you had a
soon.
closer. What did somebody listens to the show, JN and Menor? What did he tell you? How many games did he say we
8.
lost?
He said 8. That guy's as hardcore as it gets. He says, by his thought, he says 8. That they would be 8 games better than what they are now. Which would put them where? In the wild card, certainly?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, well, at 8, they're 8.5 back of the Tigers right now. So you can't say that it'd be an even race there, but they'd probably be 2 or 3 with 6 games left with the Tigers still. Mm-hmm. I mean, I have not come out and said it, but I keep bringing up the 6 games with the Tigers. I think it's huge. I think you can walk into this weekend. If the Tigers have a bad weekend and you have a good weekend, you can roll into Tuesday's showdown with the Tigers with these games absolutely meaning way more than anyone thought they would.